Hello mathematicians. Today we are looking at standard equations of hyperbolas centered at the origin. Alright, so hyperbolas are these solid lines here and here. It's kind of like a mirror image of each other. Alright, so this first one at the top is on the horizontal transverse axis. That's really important. And the second one is the vertical transverse axis. So this one is horizontal because it's crossing there. This one is vertical. It's crossing this axis. All right, and these dotted lines, both of them, are the asymptotes of this graph. So dotted lines are asymptotes, and you will need to draw those in when you are graphing. All right, and the equation of this line of the asymptote is y equals negative b over ax. The equation of this line of the asymptote is y equals positive b over ax. So that is what we need for the asymptotes, and we'll get into a and b in a little bit. So on the actual graph, we have vertices, which are the bottom and where it crosses the x-axis. So vertices, let's label that. And this is where our a comes in. So here, vertices are at negative a comma 0 and positive a comma 0. And then we also have our foci, which are these points right here, singular focus. And similarly to ellipses, these are at c comma 0 and negative c comma 0. Alright, so that's our horizontal transverse axis hyperbola. Now our vertical transverse axis hyperbola is very similar. So this asymptote line is y equals a over bx, and this asymptote line is y equals negative a over bx. All right, and then our vertices are here. And those are at 0 comma a, 0 comma negative a. Right, and then our foci, these points again, those are at 0 comma c, 0 comma negative c. All right, and then we have these points hanging out here on this one, and those would be up here. Just don't see them on the graph. All right, so those are what Mr. Cresswell likes to call our help points. So those are to help us know where to put the asymptote lines at. And so those are located at b comma 0 and negative b comma 0. And we'll get into how those help us out a little bit more later. All right, now we need to fill in our chart. So let's start with our horizontal transverse axis. I don't know why this is a Z, it should be an S. All right, so our equation for that one is x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. So I'm actually going to go write that next to the graphs as well, so we know what one goes with which. All right, back to our chart. Horizontal asymptotes are at y equals plus or minus b over ax. Our vertices are at plus or minus a comma 0. Our help, these points, which would also be in this area on here, are at 0 comma plus or minus b. We need to add in our foci. It's not on the chart. And those are at plus or minus c comma 0. So that is our horizontal transverse axis hyperbola. And now we can move on to the vertical, which again is this one. All right, and the equation for that is y squared over a squared minus x squared over b squared equals 1. So they're similar equations, just double check where the x and the y are at. All right, and our asymptotes for our vertical transverse axis hyperbola are at y equals plus or minus a over bx. It's just flipped of the horizontal. And our vertices are at 0 comma plus or minus a. Our help is at plus or minus b comma 0. And our foci are at 0 comma plus or minus c. If we need to find c, this is very similar to the ellipses. C squared equals a squared plus b squared, or c equals the square root of a squared plus b squared. Same equation, just written differently. All right, once you get that done, we are going to flip to the other side. So if you need to pause to write any of that down, now would be a good time. When you are ready, flip your paper over. All right, now we are going to talk about where to put the asymptotes at. So those dotted lines we had, how do we know where they go? So once you have figured out A and B, then if you have the points, you plot your vertices and then your help points. And then you kind of make a little box with those points. Your asymptotes are going to go through the origin at 0, 0, and then they're just going to go out from there and pass through the corner of that box. So you could actually graph them with the equations you have, or you can just go straight out from there through the corner of the box. Alright, so that's what our help points are for. Alright, we do have an example. So we have y squared over 4 minus x squared over 25 equals 1. Alright, so now we might need to look at our chart to figure out if this is going to be vertical or horizontal. So we have y first and then x. So let's go look at our chart. And that looks more like this one. So it's going to be vertical. So we know it's going to be vertical. All right. So from there, we know that this is going to be a squared. So a squared equals 4. That means a equals 2. Take the square root. And b squared is here. So b squared equals 25. Take the square root of that. B equals 5. All right. So first let's get our vertices. And that's going to be, since it's a vertical, we're going to have 0 comma a, which was 2, and 0 comma negative a. Alright, and we don't really have good graphing on here. If you want to grab a piece of graph paper to graph these instead, that would be fine. I'm just going to put mine on here and take your best guess. Alright, now we need our help points. Those are going to be at b comma 0, b is 5, and negative b comma 0, so it'll be negative 5 comma 0. Alright, so, oh, I messed up my vertices, didn't I? We'll call these the help points and put my vertices here. Okay, so vertex, help. There we go. Alright, and we need to find our foci. So NC equals the square root of a squared plus b squared. So that will be square root of 4 plus 25 is the square root of 29. And when I plug that in my calculator, I got about 5.4. So that would be my foci, 0 comma 5.4 and 0 comma negative 5.4. That'll be about here and here. Alright, now I'm going to draw my little box with the vertices and the help points. So it's going to kind of be like this. Alright, so then from there I can draw in my asymptotes. And then when you're actually graphing the hyperbolas, you just kind of follow the curve of the asymptotes. So start with the vertex and go out. Just like that. And that is how you graph. Just remember to look at your chart and follow if it's vertical or horizontal. Let me know if you have any questions tomorrow or the next day, and thank you for watching.